2025 marks 5 years since I retired from league racing on any F1 games. Honestly, my mental health is a lot better for it. I've realised I've kind of replaced it with just playing old F1 game career modes and suffering in them. But overall, I am so much happier now that I don't league race anymore. But going back and playing these older F1 games, it has got me reminiscing about the good old days when league racing was actually fun and enjoyable and you could just hop on without any practice and maybe do well. You didn't have to sweat for 18 hours a day against children. Being older now, I thought I'd go back with a fresh and unbiased perspective and just watch my old league races, review how I did. How good was I in my prime at 18 years old? 18 was my prime. God, that's depressing. Well, in this particular video, there'll be no prime OTP or onto the podium as I was back in the day, because I thought to start off this potential series, I'm going to go back and look at my history, my very complicated history with Singapore. Now, I said in the Caterham video, I absolutely love Singapore. I still do. It's a bit worse with the changed third sector, but overall, I love the track. I've always been good at the track. I want to do well. But in league racing, as you'll see in this video, it never went well. So let's jump in the time machine, go back to 2016, and let's watch through every single Singapore league race I ever did.
We don't need no walkie-talkies, no walkie-talkies. We don't need your coffee went off in the morning coffee now. We don't need no walkie-talkies, no walkie-talkies. We just want our hermitry to stay and a coffee to go.
Yo guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm back with another PSGL league race.
That was a rough start. My mic is awful, I hate my voice, I'm struggling to get my words out. I should have had another go at this intro. In my defence, this was my third ever league race and my third ever commentary. I was new to it, but regardless, you guys have to be nice to me. I don't. I fucking hate this, Connor. But for context, this was my third ever league race. I was on controller at this point on F1 2016, as you can see. I was in PSGL F6, which was the lowest division I could possibly be in. And you'll see that because the competition, it wasn't great. So with a qualifying performance like that, I assume I led from pole and went on for a dominant race win, probably 30 seconds, maybe even 45 seconds ahead. There's absolutely nothing that could possibly stop me. There was a safety car early on which cut down my lead, but immediately after that I go back to pulling the gap. It's looking like a comfortable win. Absolutely no one has challenged me so far. There's nothing else to say. It was easy. I showed that I absolutely had the pace over every single person. The only person that could stop me winning this race was myself. So I'm sure you're all wondering, how did I mess this up?
And we are out of the race. We just run a little bit wide into the barrier, and looking back on it, it's slightly my fault, but I think the reaction was a little bit over exaggerated from the game.
So one Singapore race in, one pole position, one DNF, courtesy of myself.
Now let's hear my reaction at the time of that crash, shall we?
And now here's onto the podium, who bottled it whilst being 4 or 5 seconds in the lead. That is unfortunate, mate. Really sympathise with you. What happened there, mate? What happened there? What happened there, mate?
I want to kill myself. I want to kill myself.
Let's go to the next one, 2017. I actually don't think this was a very good race. This was the first season on a wheel, so I wasn't actually very good. I'd qualified P11, added 12. I genuinely think there wasn't much of note of this track. I was just genuinely off the pace because I was on a wheel. I just wasn't used to it at all. Most of my race was just spent battling Bad Boy and Notorious for barely a point. I mean, I think it was a pretty good battle between me and Bad Boy, but again, just genuinely slow. There's so much of chaos during the final lap, and somehow I go up to P7, my best result ever at Singapore by default. P6 thanks to penalties, even better, but just a very uneventful Singapore Grand Prix. At this stage, to practice being on a wheel, I joined another league, FTRL, and it got off pretty good. I won my first race at the first time of asking, that was nice. Wasn't at Singapore though, obviously, but the following race was at Singapore, and that's where we're going to go to now. We got off to a phenomenal start. We're going to get our second ever pole position at Singapore on the harder tyre compared to everyone else. So once again, showing I have pace at this track, I wasn't as bad as my performance is letting on. Let's see how we threw away this one. Lights out and away we go, and do we get off the grid well? Yes we do. Absolutely no one's going to be challenging us into turn number 1, and it was so uneventful that I immediately cut to lap 11. I am absolutely miles ahead of everyone else. It is starting to rain though, so we're going to come into the pit, 4 intermediate tyres, and a new wing. Because of that bizarre loss of control of the car into the pit lane, we end up falling behind Pagani for the remainder of the race. And just to give you some insight on myself and Pagani's relationship, especially during the league racing days, well, let's put it this way, I league raced with him 8 years ago, and still to this day I don't really know if he likes me or not. Long story short, I got stuck behind him, and over his dead body, was he going to let me past? So Singapore race number 3, and it's going to be our best result of a podium, but another easy win that we've thrown away. Still trying to learn the wheel. I joined another league, TUF this time. Basically, I was just trying to join as many leagues as possible so that I could just do as many Singapore races as possible and hopefully fucking win for once. Again, we show our speed immediately. We're on the front row of the grid, P2 out of a 19 car grid. It's lights out and away we go. We get a pretty mediocre start, but given my 2015 start, it is actually pretty phenomenal. Initially, we were staying with P1, but we slowly fell back into the clutches of Spurge, a driver who I quickly learned was a fucking maniac, and he was terrifying throughout my entire league racing career to race against him. He was absolutely woeful. He would dive you at every single corner, no matter the track, no matter the circumstances. He was just terrifying. He was also annoyingly fucking awful because he kept making mistakes, I kept getting past him, and then he would just dive me at the following corner. You can see at the final corner, I just run wide because I'm absolutely terrified of what he's going to do. We're falling more and more down the order, and this race just isn't going well at all. And then my internet, which at the time was famously shit, decides I'm just going to end this guy's misery. I was never one to quit league races though. I never gave up, no matter what happened to me. I would never give in until the checkered flag was, never mind, I really want to give up now, fuck this game, fuck my internet. You know what, I know when to give up. Let's change it, I know when to give up. So we've had 4 races in Singapore so far, 2 pole positions, 3 front rows. What do we have to show for it? 2 DNFs, 2 bottles, 1 podium, and a lot of pain. This is where the mental block with me in Singapore really started to manifest. I really wanted to win it, and nothing worked out for me. But next up was another TUF Singapore race. Let's see how this one goes. We haven't had as good a qualifying with P8, but we are on the super soft tyres compared to the ultra soft, so we do have some pace. Never mind, I just get caught up in the inevitable lap. Of course it was fucking Katamis. Oh my god, even from day one he was being a dick. Unlike Pagani, where you could argue our tolerance for each other depending on the day, Katamis was just a consistent thorn in my side, and I despise every part of him. Maybe he could be a topic for another compilation of league races one day. It'll be a long video. So lap number 1, we're down to P20, but what followed was a phenomenal drive by me. I was in my element. I was absolutely in my element, and I was loving every second of this race despite what happened. I had the pace over a lot of people. I was pulling off phenomenal moves despite some questionable defensive moves from some people. And by lap number 18 we're going to come into the pit. We're P3. We do come out P10, and unfortunately it's behind Katamis. It's out of carnage on the following lap as Aaron goes into the wall, and it'd be really bad if I still spoke to Aaron and could remind him of that moment, wouldn't it? Up into P5 now, we continue our charge through the field, now battling Chris Logan for P4, and we're going to go for a very risky move. And somehow, there's no tears. We're then able to get past Chris Logan with an equally insane move around the outside coming into Sector 3. I knew I had fresh tyres, but Jesus Christ, am I incredible. And coming through the final corner to start lap number 24, we're going to go up the inside of Fear Toxic Death to take the podium place. With a few laps to go, we're still going to be side by side with him through the first sector and down the straight. I have just remembered how this ends. Cheers, mate. Well, at least it's not my fault this time, but it shows that nothing would work for me at Singapore. I could never catch a break. Either I did something stupid or other drivers did. So I've done 5 races at Singapore. I had 4 where I've been in contention for a podium. I have got 1 podium. We're now going to go back to PSGL for the final race on 2017, I believe. And by this point, I was on form. So P6, my first PSGL race in Singapore, but this time I've got used to the wheel. I've proven in other leagues that I can drive this track now. I've just got to hope for a clean race. I've got to hope for my internet to hold out. I've got to hope that I don't do something stupid, and straight off the bat, it's a very good start. And coming on to lap number 5, I'm overtaking someone for P4 into turn number 1. And it's looking like I've genuinely got some pace. We're on the back of my teammate now. He doesn't make it difficult for me. We're into the podium positions. Since we're quick and the dry though, the game's not going to let me have it my own way. And this was a wet race. It went from dries to intermediates, and then I'm pretty sure it ends on wets. So we're going to have to fight for this one if we want a good result. Or not. Aaron ahead of me has just put it straight in the wall. We've gone straight up into P2. Thank you, Aaron. So for the rest of the race, I have one person left to overtake to get a win. I'll be honest, in this particular season, I'd already got a podium. There's a whole story of me and podiums and league racing, which I'll get to in another video. But this race, given it was Singapore, all I wanted was the win. I didn't care about anything else. This would actually turn into my best Singapore race ever, because lap 29, in the heavy rain conditions now, that was my one mistake I made all race. The only issue is, with the slipstream glitch on F1 2017, I just didn't have the straight line speed to overtake P1. So we're once again going to miss out on a win. But this has been a great Singapore race, my best ever. P2, we finally don't throw it away. But I remember I was considerably pissed off that I didn't get the win. So 6 races in, I'd argue 4, maybe 5 races that I could have got a podium. I have 2. And no wins, but 2 pole positions. Honestly, the pole positions make it look worse. 2017 I had the excuse of learning a wheel, so let's go to 2018 and see if I can do it there. Throughout this F3 season, I struggled immensely because I couldn't be fucked to practice every single day of my life. So going into this Singapore race, I was expecting absolutely nothing. I was battling for barely any points every single race, so any massive result was incredibly shocking. For example, if I qualified P2 at Singapore on this F3 grid, that would be unheard of. Which is why dropping down to P4 was to be expected, but still, P4 on this grid, there was only 12 people, but they were all faster than me. It just showed once again that Singapore was my track, that I couldn't win. Singapore was my Monaco to Charles Leclerc. P5. There was nothing else to say for that race, I just got outpaced by everyone. So 2019 marked the end of my league racing career. I did one more season, I moved down to F5 in PSGL, and in my final season, thankfully, they put Singapore on the calendar because there was one thing I hadn't ticked off the list in league racing, and that was a win at Singapore. So we started P4 on the grid for my final Singapore race in league racing. I'm pretty sure I'd won 1 race in this league so far, so I knew I could beat everyone. But coming on to lap number 14, we're going to take the lead of the race. We've seen this before. How do I fuck this one up? Once again, the rain hit and it was very awkward getting into the pit lane. And this race was another repeat of the dry to wet race a few races ago. I tried my utmost to overtake Kian. Trust me, I was really going for it. But you can see I just didn't have the straight line speed against the Toro Rosso, annoyingly. We're going to try and send it around the outside, outbrake myself, and obviously the move doesn't stick. Believe me, this last lap I was trying absolutely everything, even considering just taking him out just to get the win. I wanted this badly, but because of the nature of the track and the heavy rain conditions, it just wasn't happening for me. But on the plus side, at least in later Singapore races, I wasn't throwing it away through my own incompetence. It was just I was getting outpaced, which is honestly slightly more painful, to be honest. We're going to come home in P2 for my final Singapore race. However, because of how much I wanted to win a Singapore race, I'll be honest, I was quite fucking petty. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure I was fighting for a championship in this season, so even more so I was petty, but mainly I cared about the Singapore win. So, what did I do that was so petty? Well, I went to the stewards and I reported Kian for an unsafe pit entry. Was it unsafe? Absolutely fucking not. Was I a steward in PSGL at the time and could fight my case in the group chat? Abso-fucking-lutely I was. So in my final league race at Singapore, I got the win. I didn't finish first on track at any of my Singapore races, but thanks to a very questionable and very corrupt steward team, I won my last race in Singapore at the 8th time of trying. So to summarise, I did 8 league races at Singapore. I got in the front row, 3 times? Pole twice? and I won one of them. Sorry to interrupt, this is editing corner here. Very shortly after finishing this commentary, I remembered I'd actually forgotten a league race in FTRL at Singapore. It turns out my first league race win at Singapore actually came in 2018 in FTRL in Division 2. I got pole position in that race as well, so I got 3 pole positions, and I actually got 2 wins at Singapore. However, getting a win in 2018 and then going on to really fight in 2019 to get it, it kind of really ruins the narrative of this video. So, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I forgot about it.